It won't always be new. It won't always be clean. It won't always be flawless. But it'll always be yours. So how do you know it'll be protected? To solve the big challenges of tomorrow, take simple steps today. When you're ready to start, we're ready to help with auto insurance. Get started at countryfinancial.com/simple-steps.
You know, you see fires on TV all the time. You don't understand what the families are really going through until you've lived it. You're just standing there literally watching everything that you knew as your childhood, just the love in your home, and it's just going up in flames and there's nothing you can do about it.
I asked her, in the event that there was a tragedy or something happened, how would they rebuild? What would they do? And I think that's when it registered with her that they wouldn't be able to.
My parents had no mortgage, so they thought they needed no insurance. This was the time that we needed it. I just would have never dreamed. Thank goodness for Judy. She convinced me that we needed homeowners insurance. The morning after the fire, I called Judy, and she's like, "You don't worry about a thing."
So I got up to the Ramey household. I sat with her mom, and she cried. I cried. But I told her that things were going to be okay. Country would take care of her.
Judy and Country Financial were 100% put into our lives for a reason. We could have never afforded to build back another home like Country Financial has built, and I'm so thankful for that, truly. Thank you so much.
Welcome back to our broadcast. My name is Cheryl Williams with Country Financial, and we've been talking recently regarding life insurance, and last week we actually talked about term insurance specifically. And so this week we want to dive into permanent insurance, whole life, and kind of dissect that and talk about what is all involved in that type of life insurance, and give you some options there. We also want to do today look at how you actually calculate how much life insurance you need. So I'll give you some clues on how to actually calculate your need. So right now I'd like to just start with commercial for life insurance, and this is, again, a Country Financial commercial. So skip the fancy coffee 3 days a week, pack your lunch for work, lower your cable bill. Small steps like these can have a huge impact on your family's future by helping you save money to purchase a Country Financial life policy. Life insurance doesn't have to be a difficult topic. When you're ready to start, call Cheryl Williams in our Graves Lake office, and she's ready to help. Life insurance policies issued by Country Life Insurance Company and Country Investors Life Assurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. For cost and complete coverage details, contact Cheryl Williams. My office number is 847-231-1220, or my cell number is 630-217-2759. Also here on GMAP1, anytime you see the Country logo, if you just click on that logo, you'll go straight to my website, and there you can give me your contact information, and I can get back to you either with a quote or additional information that you're requesting. What we're going to do right now is dive right into the whole life policy, and looking at life insurance in general. You know, what is the need for it? What are your options? Again, like I said last week, we focused on term insurance, and if you weren't with us last week, we talked about term being for a specific period of time and usually for a specific purpose, whether it's to cover the cost of your home, the mortgage, your children's college education, some type of expense that's large that you'd want to cover it with insurance for a particular period of time. That's usually why you get term insurance. When you're talking about final expense coverages, though, you really want to look at permanent whole life insurance, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Permanent insurance provides lifelong protection, and as long as you pay the premiums and no loans, withdrawals, or surrenders are taken, the full amount of the whole life policy that you purchase will be paid out. But whole life does allow you to withdraw. It does allow you to take loans. If you pay those back to yourself, you keep your policy intact. If you do not, those loan amounts or withdrawals are subtracted from your whole life policy face amount, and your beneficiaries would receive whatever's left. So just be very careful with taking loans or withdrawals. Because it's designed to last a lifetime, permanent life insurance accumulates cash value. And this is priced for you to keep it over a long period of time. So what your agent or insurance advisor is going to show you is you're not only buying a $50,000 policy or a $100,000 whole life policy, but there's going to be some cash value growth associated with the policy over the time that you keep the policy intact. So that's additional funds that are available and will be paid out to your beneficiary at the end of the policy. So it's possible to say, impossible to say which type of life insurance is better, because the kind of coverage that's right for you depends on your unique circumstance and your financial goals. A combination of term insurance and permanent insurance is often the right solution. You want to have term for specific purposes, specific periods of time where you need more coverage at an affordable rate, and then permanent to last you till the end of your life. So it just depends on what your goals are. What you want to do is you want someone to actually walk through with you specific scenarios and be able to look at your entire financial picture so that you have, good advice in terms of what you need. Because unless you actually sell this for a living, like I do, you won't really get into the specifics of the different policies and how they work. And that's what an advisor is for, to help you understand what it is that you're purchasing. Life insurance, it's a simple answer to a very difficult question. How will my family manage financially when I die? It's a subject that no one really wants to talk about, but someone is depending on you financially, and if you have dependents, people who depend on you financially, then you need to care for that, for the future, for if you're out of the picture, the loss of your finances, how will that impact them? How will that affect them? And that's what life insurance protects. There's, like we said, the different types of insurance that, can protect that bottom line, that figure of what it is that you're needing. Your family, your beneficiaries will be paid out when you pass so that they can handle your funeral expenses as well as the different financial needs that your family has. If you still have a mortgage that needs to be paid, there's money for that. If there's college for your children to get through 4 years, 3 years, then you have life insurance to continue to pay for their college. There's just other things that your income is providing, just paying the bill. And if you were no longer here, would your family be able to continue on living in the custom that they're used to? Would they be able to keep the standard of living, or would they have to downsize and reduce the way that they're living, sell the house, just different things? So you want to think about life insurance isn't really for you. It's for the ones that you leave behind. So when we're looking at permanent whole life insurance, we're looking at insurance that will be there for you when you need it. Not something that's only going to be for 20 years or 30 years like a term policy. But a whole life will be there until your family needs it, as long as you pay that monthly premium. Or if there's different types. You can get policies that are paid up, where you're paying a significant premium dollar for it, but in 10 years, 20 years, that policy can be totally paid for, and you actually own that policy. Sometimes that is a way to go, because you don't want the lack of paying the premium to terminate your policy, and then your family again is left with nothing. So there's different ways to handle that, and getting a paid-up policy may be the answer for you. But it's guarding you and the needs of your family in case there's changes, drastic changes in your future. There could be catastrophic things that happen. And a whole life permanent policy with the cash value buildup in it can provide funds in an emergency if you need it. We have examples of people who have actually needed emergency cash for disaster and were able to pull money out of their whole life policy to meet that need. A lot of times you don't think about that because you do want to just let that policy sit and grow, but it is there if the need arises. So that accumulation of cash is a feature in a whole life policy that can really benefit your family, can also benefit financial goals that you have, because we can project what that cash value will be, and you can know how much you will have for the future and what you can use it for. So the majority of Americans, although they don't think about it, they need it. There's a percentage out there of Americans who don't have currently a life insurance policy in place, and it's an alarming statistic. I believe I don't want to guess, but the LIMRA Institute, who does a lot of the statistics regarding home insurance, they're saying that 9 in 10 Americans agree they need it, but only 60% of Americans actually have a life policy in place. And that's, again, from the LIMRA research. So life insurance, again, is the answer for a certain situation. Let me just share with you a story here of a mother and a daughter. The husband died at a very young age, and there was only enough life insurance to pay for his funeral. So the wife was left with a young daughter to raise, two daughters to raise, and needed to be financially secure if anything were to happen. So what this mother ended up doing was buying an insurance policy for herself, the best policy that she could afford. And 2 years after she purchased the policy for herself, she herself was diagnosed with a terminal lung cancer. There was a part in her policy where she could actually receive a payout for a terminal illness to help pay for medical bills. She was able to withdraw 75% out of that policy to finance her home, her car, so that her daughters wouldn't have those burdens. She prepaid her funeral, and she wanted to leave money for her daughter's education. So the policy that she purchased was substantial enough that it was able to cover all of those needs. This young lady actually died at age 38 of her cancer, but the dreams that she had for her daughters and what she wanted them to accomplish in their life would be realized because she had that policy in place. One daughter graduated with honors from college, and another daughter is a senior in high school and is living with her grandparents in the home that the mother purchased. So this mother wanted her girls to have the best education and to maintain the same lifestyle that she had provided for them after she was gone. And with her choice of life insurance, she was able to make those plans and those dreams come true. So, life insurance is important. It's important for your family. It's important for the loved ones that you leave behind. And I would encourage you that if you haven't yet sat down with a financial advisor or a life insurance agent to talk about life insurance and what you need, I would do that. I'm available. I am a licensed agent with Country Financial. We have a wide variety of policies available to choose from, and be glad to sit with you and just discuss your options. My office is located in Grays Lake, across from the College of Lake County there in Grays Lake. And at any time, like I said, on the GMAP1, just click on the country logo. You'll go straight to my website there. You can put in your contact information, and I can get back with you. So let's just look at some things that you might want to have life insurance to cover in your lifetime. The first would be getting married. If you're single and now you're joining with someone and you're getting married, your family now has two incomes to help meet needs, and your lifestyle, of course, is going to be aligned with a two-income family. So if suddenly one of you were to pass, would the other have enough money to cover funeral expenses, credit card balances, outstanding loans, and just the daily living expenses? So you don't think about it when you're first getting married, but it is something that you want to consider because none of us ever know when that day is coming. We'd like to be able to plan it, but that's not always possible. So you want to make sure you have in place a policy for yourself and for your spouse. What about parents who you're raising a child and if your spouse were to pass, then you'd have to provide for the children. So, again, from diapers to diploma, what is the plan you have in place to cover the expenses of daycare, all your education needs for that child, as well as college, everything that goes into raising that child? You as a parent want to think about how are we going to do that? And if one of us were to not be here, how would we make up the cost of the loss of that one income to our family? And when you have one spouse who doesn't work but is only at home, and the spouse who passes away was the breadwinner, then you have an equally serious situation because the person who's at home with the children, who isn't out working and making a living, after you pass away, they'll either have to return to work and then provide daycare for the children, and house going to be maintained because that's what they were doing. So there's different things to consider. A substantial life insurance policy in place would take care of that spouse and your children for years to come. So that's another need for life insurance, making sure that your children and your spouse are maintained. Now, if you're a homeowner, and you're like most people, your home is probably your most significant financial asset, life insurance can be used to pay down or retire that mortgage, sparing your family from moving into a less expensive place to live after you pass away. Provides for the funds that would be needed for the family members to maintain that lifestyle that they've been accustomed to. So you want to take the cost of your home, your mortgage, into effect when you're calculating how much life insurance you need. What about changing jobs? If you've recently been promoted or changed your job, it's a good time to reevaluate your life insurance coverage. A lot of people are banking on the life insurance policy that they have with their employer, which is usually a term policy. And the reason it's a term policy is because your employer is providing it. And the moment you are no longer employed by that employer, that insurance is no longer in effect. So you're left without coverage. Or they'll offer for you to convert it to a personal policy, which would cost substantially more than the group rate. So you need to have your own personal life insurance policy in place in addition to the insurance that you have with your employer. When your income rises, your spending rises. So updating your life insurance coverage, is something that you want to constantly look at least on a yearly basis, just to make sure that it is covering the needs that your family has and the lifestyle that you're currently living. Retired or planning for retirement, that could be something that you're doing. So, if your children are on their own now and your mortgage is paid off, you might feel that your need for life insurance has passed. But if you died today, your spouse would outlive you by 10, 20, or 30 years. So would your spouse have to make drastic lifestyle adjustments to meet and make ends meet? Adequate life insurance helps widows or widowers avoid financial struggles, especially in retirement. That single person, if you're just single, you don't have a spouse or a family, they feel like most singles, they don't need it. They don't have beneficiaries that they're going to leave anything to. So what is the point of having life insurance? However, as a single person, do you have aging parents? Do you have siblings that may rely on you? Are you carrying significant debt that may be passed on to some of your family members should you pass away? And you want to make sure that you have insurance in place so that you don't leave your family holding the bag, so to speak, with your debt or your financial obligations. So those are just some things that you want to think about in terms of, why do I need the insurance? Now, I wanted to quickly look at the how much do you need, and we're getting ready to close out our session today. But looking at the how much that you need, there's factors to look at when you're actually calculating how much is enough. About 38% of Americans believe they would feel the financial impact from the death of the primary wage earner within a month of their passing. And when you consider all the things that life insurance proceeds need to fund and how long the money will be needed, you begin to realize that your true need for coverage is often 10 to 15 times your gross annual income, and sometimes more than that. So we're not looking at a small number here. We're looking at a pretty substantial number. Insurance proceeds can fund many types of expenses, starting with funeral costs, uncovered medical expenses, the mortgage, car loans, credit card debt, taxes, and even estate settlement costs. Your estate will need to be settled, and the state, wherever you live, that state will be making sure that, there's nothing left hanging when you pass. They want to make sure that, things are covered. So there is a state income to consider as well. Ongoing expenses, we don't think about that, but, just food and housing, utilities, transportation, healthcare, clothing, and just continuing insurance for your family. That's going to cost. And so these are the things you're adding up and calculating into what do you want to leave for your family. Then future expenses, college and retirement, those are two numbers that you need to figure. How much is a college education for 4 years or 2 years? And how much money do I need to have set aside for retirement for my spouse? And what is that figure? So those are some of the things that you want to look at when you're doing your calculation. There's a worksheet, actually. I know if you contact me, I have a couple that we can work through that will get us to that number. But, the first thing you want to look at is your income, your total annual income that your family would need in case you pass. They're used to having that annual income, so how much of it would be needed to continue their standard of living? Probably close to 75% of your income is what they would need, and the income to be replaced, you would just indicate how much you make annually, and that's one line item on this calculation. Then you want to add funeral expenses, you want to add the mortgage, you want to add outstanding debt, you want to add the college education there. Then you also want to look at assets, savings and investments. You have bank accounts, money markets, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities. So these are assets that you have that would help cut that number down. If you already have retirement savings in place, you have a 401k, you have an IRA, you have different profit sharing already in place, that's going to bring that need number down. If you have life insurance already in place, that could, again, be reducing that need number. And then your total income producing assets. So say you have rental property or things that are already gaining value for you. Those could also be subtracted from the need. Once you subtract your assets from the need, then you have the bottom line figure of how much life insurance additional that you need to put in place so that your family can continue to live in the manner that they're accustomed to. There is a calculator that you can access on www.lifehappens.org. That's a website, Country Financial. You'll find information about Country and other life insurance companies on that website. They're actually featured this month. The month of September is focusing on life insurance as a nation, putting the spotlight on that. And so even on my website, my LinkedIn, my Facebook, you'll see lots of advertisement for life insurance, because this is the month that we're focusing on life insurance, trying to wake people up, let them know that they need to consider it, and really make an appointment to sit down with your agent. You can contact me, as I said, figure out how much you need, and then how do we go about putting a policy in place for you. I would really recommend sitting with someone who has your vested interest in mind, and not just go on a random website where the person doesn't really know you, doesn't know your family, doesn't know your story, and really can't give you the assistance that you need and the proper counsel. So I hope I said something today that pricked your interest in looking at a whole life policy. Next week, we'll actually look at a universal life policy. It's a little different type of policy, but we'll kind of dissect that next week. But I thank you for joining me today. Again, if you need to contact me at my office, my number is 847-231-1220, or my cell number, 630-217-2759. Again, it's Cheryl Williams with Country Financial, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. Thank you.
You save it. No, you buy stuff with it.
I put it in my piggy bank.
You can buy a house, save it to buy your car,
Give it to charity. Save it for college. Put them in the bank.
It won't always be new. It won't always be clean. It won't always be flawless. But it'll always be yours. So how do you know it'll be protected? To solve the big challenges of tomorrow, take simple steps today. When you're ready to start, we're ready to help with auto insurance. Get started at countryfinancial.com/simple steps.
You know, you see fires on TV all the time. You don't understand what the families are really going through until you've lived it. You're just standing there literally watching everything that you knew as your childhood, just the love in your home, and it's just going up in flames and there's nothing you can do about it.
I asked her, in the event that there was a tragedy or something happened, how would they rebuild? What would they do? And I think that's when it registered with her that they wouldn't be able to.
My parents had no mortgage, so they thought they needed no insurance. This was the time that we needed it. I just would have never dreamed. Thank goodness for Judy. She convinced me that we needed homeowners insurance. The morning after the fire, I called Judy, and she's like, "You don't worry about a thing."
So I got up to the Ramey household. I sat with her mom, and she cried. I cried. But I told her that things were going to be okay. Country would take care of her.
Judy and Country Financial were 100% put into our lives for a reason. We could have never afforded to build back another home like Country Financial has built, and I'm so thankful for that, truly.